Welcome back, everybody. It is a new day and a new week. I haven't broadcast since Tuesday, so it is perhaps the most tabs I've ever had open, which is saying something for those that have been around for a while. Artist Journal, November 6, 2023, broadcasting from Ortygia, the ancient city at the heart of Syracuse, a historic, huge, I would argue, ancient city, probably the biggest ancient city I've ever seen. My name's Adrian Pocobelli, and unfortunately we don't have the view behind us on this one. Maybe I could go up to the terrace, but I feel like I'm going to wake up the entire neighborhood. Sicilians like to pay attention to what's going on around them, so the neighbors. So I thought I'd be a little more discreet here in this kind of kitchen living room of sorts here. As we continue our journey, one more week on the road here, and then back to Berlin, which, you know, you start to appreciate the quote-unquote the normalcy of the studio at a certain point, and everything. The internet, I am back online, which is why I took off the last couple of days. I mentioned it in the Twitter space, but for those that might have been wondering, it just became too much, all the data usage from the phone. I think I spent 60 euros just on data usage last week. It would have been another 60 had I done another episode. So took it a couple of days off and toured Palermo, actually, and saw some very important mosaics there in the Chapel Palatino, I think is what you'd call it. So it's been a fabulous journey. So lots of arts and lots of letters here. As we begin with RJ, this summary work here, it feels like a summary work of this episode, and here we are. It's a pixel art work, and let me actually zoom in a little bit for us, if I can. Here we go. Just to get a sense of RJ's, again, pixel art pastiche. So as you can see, RJ, and we'll even go even closer here, you can basically see here how RJ likes to, you know, keep a nice low pixel canvas because it gives you like these more jagged pixels here, right? And this is like, weirdly, I would argue this is kind of classic RJ, this pixelation here. If you asked me which artist does this pixelation here remind you of, I'd say RJ. Now RJ is like Hasdrubal Waffle, who, you know, Waffles uses a lot of softwares, but one of the softwares or ways of working, as far as I understand, is a lot of these JavaScript art programs that you can just load up in a web browser. There's something to be said for that, this kind of free aspect. Santiago mentioned that on a space, maybe in February or March. So, and when we talked to RJ, proudly, and there's a great episode, if you've never heard RJ and you're a fan, you can hear RJ on a space we did, 4 months ago, and it's actually super fascinating and his very deep voice there. It's well worth a listen. And RJ also uses, basically something for free you can open up in your browser. And so here it is. So you see a pixel art pastiche, and I'll show you the original. As you can see here, it's probably the one, it's basically the same size. So it's probably the one that RJ actually used. And let me just make this norm. Is that 100%? There we go. As you see here, and you can see, look at the shadow. So you see the interpretation here in the shadow in the background, for example, and everything. And then, of course, the Pepe, which kind of is symbolic. It kind of sums up. This isn't a newspaper of the imagination today. This is a book of the imagination. This is like half the tabs, maybe a third. I'm going to go really fast. Just to warn you, so apologies in advance to all the artists. We're going to move fast because there's simply too much to go through, and I'm trying to shorten the episodes, and they're turning longer by the sheer quality and quantity of work, which makes me extraordinarily bullish on this scene. So, again, and here, painted in a different brush, I think is what's going on, and I suspect from the same program. Kind of more of a paintbrush sort of thing. We have the contrast here of the pixel art, and then we have the work here, the Pepe, done with a different brush. And it creates a beautiful contrast, doesn't it? It kind of makes the work, kind of makes it feel modern too, in its own way, clearly, with the pixel art. So there they have Mercury, here we have Pepe. So just another awesome work by RJ, who is saying, can finally see the end of the piece I've been working on for weeks. The last Pepe pastiche, it's by far the most ambitious piece I've ever put together, and I'm exhausted but excited and nervous to share maybe a day or two more. So this was written a couple of days ago, referring, I believe, to this work here, Allegory of the Arts, or The Supremacy of Painting Pepe, and 787 by 1,000. And the original artist is Pompeo Girolamo Battoni, Allegory of the Arts, which we were just looking at. So minted. I assume it'll be an auction, but let's see. Huge thank you to Brian, also known as Moneymaker21, for picking up this work yesterday, another promoted story. I made this in Rome. It's great working on your phone on the road. I mean, it feels something kind of glorious. I bring it into Master in Photoshop, but thank you for the purchase, Moneymaker. That lasted all of 2 minutes there, so thrilling. And thank you, Robness. I mean, maybe one of the most prominent accounts in the NFT art scene. Wish I could have acquired it. Pocobelli dropping serious fire. Love it, my friend. Well, big shout out and massive thank you. I still remember our Duchamp episode that we did. What did we call it? Is this a Duchamp moment? And there it was Robness's work there. So thank you, Robness Official. Appreciate because it makes a difference when, a major prominent account in this scene retweets you. It is a wonderful thing. And now it's already up to 8,000 and it's been about 12 hours. So again, massive thank you. And I love this community. I was thinking to myself, I've never been part of a club. I've never been an insider in any club, basically. Except for this one is one that I could feel like, I don't know if I'd call myself an insider. I'm just doing my thing. I answer messages and everything. But I do feel like I'm a part of a club of a certain kind, and it's glorious and wonderful and beautiful. And I'd say it's the most open club I've ever seen in the arts. So come one, come all. It's just a glorious thing, and it's so much fun, and it's completely international. It's just wonderful. So, and thank you, Robness V2, for picking up this for TB303 sketch, 303 sketch for 10 Tezos on secondary. Big shout out and thank you. And thank you, Polly Jojo. I saw this, I think it was sent to me, actually. This was sent to me, so I assumed that figure was me. And then I was like, is that Luciana Guerra? I think that's my guess. If it's someone else, please let me know. That looks like Luciana Guerra. So we were doing American Gothic here, courtesy of Polly Jojo. Pretty cool. I'm just thrilled. Again, I mean, you got to love this community here. You just got to love it. So big thank you. Cool piece. Nice portrait. Interesting portrait. I'm amazed at how people get the hair. I mean, the hair, the color, and even the part. I mean, maybe... the part is even pretty close the way it's all done. So a lot of skill, I assume. I've never tried doing the photo AI. So again, just humbling and massive thank you. A few comments here I want to go through on yesterday's show. Let's see if we can make it bigger. Runetune, the people are talking. This commentary around the Art Matter show is totally exciting for me. Thanks for diving in. Absolutely. And isn't it great, this conversation we can have here? I'm thrilled that people comment and everything. It's a fascinating discussion. We're going to actually see a whole bunch more of it here today as well. Thank you for including me. This is Cider. Thank you for including me once again, Poco. I love this episode, and it's always cool to see how well you speak of me, man. Sometimes I wonder if I deserve all that love. Haha, have a good one. I do have a tendency to be over bullish sometimes when I'm into like an investment or if I really like an artist. So as I joked with Cider, I'll joke, it's a fair question, but again, though, Cider, in my opinion, is a natural, and it's kind of even emphasized by the fact that Cider is not like self-admittedly on his part when we had him in the space, again, another glorious space there. Cider was, I don't have a lot of art history behind me, but it's kind of surprising. Again, I think there's an intuition there on Cider's part. So, as I like to say, a natural. Runetune as well here regarding profligacy, prolificness. I suppose you're right that well-recognized artists of the last 150 years have always been prolific. Yes, the only example of venerated artists who were not prolific that come to mind are ones prior to the late 19th century. Hieronymus Bosch, Peter Bruegel, Bruegel, various other Netherlands Flemish painters. It's kind of true, actually. And again, we're talking about Vermeer as well in that kind of, I mean, different style, of course, but also kind of Flemish. I believe Vermeer is Flemish. Yeah, and most of those guys only lived to 40 years old. So a lot of that could be attributed to a lack of technology and medicine that kept them from faster production and longer lives. Point taken. Scomra, I'd love to see someone tell an instance of ChatGPT to start painting and then hook it up to one of those machines and disconnect it from the human output. I think I was showing that last episode. I'm not sure if I was within all my internet troubles, but I think I did mention it, that DALL-E 3 connected with ChatGPT. I think this is what Scomra's talking about. Then just see the evolution of the works, if it's possible, as the AI tries to develop its own style. It's probably not too far off, at least the attempt. You probably could, ChatGPT make a new style of painting, abstract work, lightly based, combining, Mondrian and, abstract expressionism. Great show. Thanks for showing two of my works as ever. And we have a couple more here, Scomra. You're keeping it interesting for me over here, so thrilled to do it. Also, great show with Santiago Izicotl. Let me try reloading this page here, because sometimes it's easier. There we go. If you go on his show, let us know. I'd love to hear the long form discussions. Yeah, maybe in 3 weeks when I'm back in Berlin. I'll go on Santiago's long form Friday night show. Some Friday that's just kind of a lazy Friday. We can do that. Kiro, thanks for showing my artworks. Is a digital painting on Procreate with some analog. It is a digital painting with Procreate and some analog treatment. Love your shows as usual. Watching daily. Thank you, Kiro. Have a safe trip. Looks nice there. It is. If people are interested, actually, I put them in the stories on Instagram if people want to see these cities I'm in. It's pretty stunning, and I'd never heard of Ortigia. I actually booked a trip. I just wanted to see Syracuse. And it turns out that it's actually a major tourist destination, just so you know. PP Universal, thanks, Poco. Santiago Izicotl. Tramontina is a brand of knives from Brazil, so referring to PP Universal's painting, and popular in Latin America and also sold in the USA. So that's the knife on the windowsill that we saw. So that is great. So thank you, Santiago Izicotl. Thank you, White Solitude, Rada, Spooky Halloween, and Eduardo Politzer, Edmarola. And I'm afraid Angkor Wat and Carthage are mixed up. Maybe that was referring to works from last episode. And of course, Tomb Battle. Thank you all. I mean, all-star cast in the comments here. So this was kind of a big thing that went around. Ordinals, of course, the Bitcoin wallet that does the on-chain NFTs. Elon Musk, I'm bullish on ordinals, not NFTs. So a lot of you already saw that.
The JPEG. So it's not even you should at least encode the JPEG in the blockchain. Because if the URL, if the company housing the image goes out of business, you don't have the image anymore.
So a lot of us are familiar with this argument, which is this idea that, because the way that, for those that don't know, and I'm not an expert, but I've just kind of been around enough where I have a clue. Anybody feel free to correct me if I get anything wrong here. But basically the way it works is the NFT basically, most NFT platforms, you basically upload the image to IPFS, International Protocol File Server, where the image gets stored separately from the blockchain. It's also decentralized storage. But basically, all the blockchain, usually, what it is a link to another file in the cloud, so to speak, decentralized cloud. And what Elon Musk is basically saying here is if one of those decentralized clouds decides to stop doing business, goes out of business, where is your JPEG? Where is your art piece? And with Bitcoin, it's inscribed, not minted, but inscribed into the actual blockchain somehow. It's written in. So, and those are what are called ordinals. So Elon Musk singing the praises of ordinals because it's all on chain. And we've been having this discussion with Spiegel's Maskinen's art, Ripcash. We're going to see some more. And we've been having that discussion on, and you need really low file sizes. And I was talking how there's like an elegance, and we're going to look at that in a second here in trying to make it small but still pretty. And so it's just for me, it's a fun challenge. And there is something to be said, as like nuclear Armageddon, should there be a nuclear Armageddon? Well, maybe Bitcoin survives on a certain level, but maybe IPFS, for example, might not. I mean, there is the argument can be made, right, that you should have at least something on chain. There is a benefit. It's one less, vulnerability point. It's one less pressure point, right? So in a sense, like Elon Musk coming from a distance, the argument, it's not a terrible argument. That being said, there are huge limitations to minting on chain, particularly the size. And unless you're ready to spend tens of thousands of dollars on minting, again, I was going to mint the Peloponnesian War. I was going to take it off ETH and put it on Bitcoin as ordinals. That was going to cost me $4,000 each because they're about 4 megabytes. Or it was even at like 400 kilobytes. It was something like a couple of $1,000s, actually, if I'm not mistaken, is what I was quoted on. So we kind of nixed that idea. And here, Bitcoin ordinals, so ETH NFTs being pushed down the stairs. So ordinals is getting bullish on the commentary. Art Gnome, who I think is the founder, if I'm not mistaken, of Right Click Save As magazine and major early NFT advocate. Me in 2018, NFTs are not on the blockchain. It's just a URL to the JPEG. If the company housing the image goes out of business, you don't have the image anymore. So basically, Art Gnome saying, this is me in 2018. And actually, Art Gnome has a service for backing up your NFTs for this very issue. What is it called? It's like back up your NFTs. Just go to rightclicksave.com. And I think, see if the internet actually works here today. And so here, a prominent NFT, Jason Bailey, Art Gnome. And for those that are wondering here, so there's a whole article on this, and he's talking about how, a lot of startups failed, bringing up the same argument. And here, this is just what I wanted to highlight. Protect your NFT collection and discover new artists. So protect your NFT collection. So back it up probably locally, I think is what they do. You probably just put in your wallets, I assume. I've never tried it. I should. Continuing on this discussion here, Kayvon. Ethereum is not designed to be a storage layer, right? Referring to minting things on chain. The on-chain NFT discussion is ignoring this fact. Arweave and IPFS are being disregarded as dependencies when they are purposely made to handle storage. Ethereum and decentralized storage are both needed. So a response from Kayvon, and who is Kayvon? CEO, co-founder of Foundation. Okay, that is who Kayvon is. Ripcash quoting Kayvon. On-chain art isn't ignoring this, so responding to the tweet we just read from Kayvon. Artists exploring fully on-chain art consider the major storage constraint and the various ways to make it work as part of the context in which that specific art is made. It's part of what makes it fun. Exactly, so kind of taking all of the above argument is, and this is how I think Ripcash has kind of nailed it here, where it's just kind of a challenge. It's fun. There's something to be said for it, but it's not necessarily saying that's all that matters is work that's put on chain. So it's part of what, and the word I used was elegant. Like when Ripcash's work that were put on chain, they're kind of elegant, and if you can make it beautiful, or Spiegel's Maskinen, the same thing. These beautiful works that Spiegel's was putting, these almost, ruined technological ruins. Those are beautiful. This isn't an attack on Arweave or IPFS, by the way. Those technology solutions are useful and can exist in tandem for various much-needed use cases. But on-chain art is an artistic choice and collector preference in either case. It's true. Like when you put it on chain, you're probably more likely to sell it. Like it will kind of open up it. In a sense, you could argue that collectors see on-chain art as more valuable oftentimes, especially like hardcore ETH collectors. The argument could be made. There is no right answer. It's just different. I agree. Different work is possible within those constraints in mind. Exactly. And I think, yeah, I mean, if there was more space and it was cheaper, probably people, you wouldn't need, like if you could just put it on a chain cheaply and as large as you want, then there wouldn't be the need for these decentralized file storage. For another more controversial example, the side of a building is also a terrible canvas for a variety of reasons, but creating art on the side of a building has informed a multi-decade subculture of artistic expression that continues to evolve to this day. The artwork usually has a different message. If you can lean a canvas up against the same wall instead, both have different intentions. Exactly. They are different mediums, in a sense, or different places to, host art, so to speak. And as good artists do, they take that in mind. They keep that in mind while they're working. The context, right? And even comment on the process in the process. So a very interesting discussion there. And then Yuri J, Water Lily Songs, new series of art on chain. That seems, I wasn't sure if Yuri J was joking because these look like pretty complex works to put on chain. Like this, they don't look small, but maybe they're small file size. So not sure. I think I will never do this 4-in-1 tweets again. So I'm not sure if Yuri J is being serious here. New series of art on chain, because then we got a link to object. So I'm not exactly sure. But maybe, because look, there's 8 Scribo here. So Ripcash was wondering, or someone else was wondering, has this been done on Tezos, on-chain art? Xerox with the answer. Xerox knows not only does Tezos have on-chain art, I didn't know this, it has dedicated on-chain platforms like 8 Scribo and 8 Badoo. And it's so funny that this is mentioned because I thought, it would have been great to put those 8 Badoo works I had on-chain, thinking about ordinals, but I guess they already are on-chain. Okay, so just interesting. So Xerox, again, with the knowledge. And here was a new work by Ripcash, my first fully animated, fully on-chain one of one. And so if you're wondering where the animation is, you'll see it in the X here. So again, I wonder how big this is. That is an interesting question, isn't it? So interesting, cool work here. So Ripcash continuing with the on-chain. I want to do some on-chain stuff just for fun. And finally, a lot of Ripcash here. On Christie's website here, digital art and NFTs and a big Ripcash. So how cool is that? Continuing on, Spiegels Maskinen, also who has put a lot of on-chain works on ETH, has a big show here. 64 by 64 by times Spiegel. So this is probably a 64 by 64-bit screen here, almost like a light bright screen. And we've been seeing these screens posted by Spiegels Maskinen for the last, month or two. And so maybe it was all in preparation of figuring out how to make this digital show physical. And look at this ancient computer. I haven't even looked at this video. So just a beautiful example of how you can kind of cross over really to the physical art gallery scene. What an incredible job they've done. Looks like a really cool show. Cool music too. Reminds me of that Abnormal series. Like, look at this. So it's pretty exciting. And look at the outside. Spiegels Maskinen. So this scene continues to encroach on the wider world here. And here is just a 128 by 128. Interestingly, just within the context of our on-chain discussion, remarkably small. And look at that, the phone, 4 desktops. Yeah, the retro computer. So just really, really, really cool. At Bricks Gallery. I believe this is in Copenhagen. Here it is. Thank you to everyone who came out yesterday to the opening of the desktop in Copenhagen. It was fire. So here is the opening. Here's a beautiful palm tree. Nicely attended opening, I might add. So much work. And these great screens. So again, we're discussing how on-chain art, it's working within it's working within the context of the limits. I mean, that's what Spiegel's Maskinen is doing here, working within the context of the limits of the physical gallery space. How do I turn my physical works or my digital works physical? And here are some solutions, working within the context of the, limitations. And continuing on with some physical artwork here from Mikey Wilson. Look who came to sign prints today. At Mikey Wilson here, and there is that beautiful signature there. And 3 of 10, sticking with the 10 of 10, a collector knows, as Mikey Wilson does, 10 is a really nice edition number, isn't it? So it's looking great, and you gotta love that size. It's very practical. Like you could put it, literally in the living room, and it'd look great. Continuing on, some physical work here. Julien Gachadot, Mineral 11. So as you can see here, just kind of impressively, I'm not sure if this is manual. I mean, maybe we open this larger here. It's looking pretty cool, isn't it? I guess maybe there's a projector. I'm not sure how, it looks plotted, doesn't it? Maybe it's plotted. Not sure, but looking pretty cool. Clown Vamp. So more on the Art Matter paintings. What did robot-assisted art look like in 2023? Whispers, a meditation on giving up control in the latent space. This is an expression, the latent space, that a lot of AI artists use. The hidden space, maybe referring to the imagination, or the space that AI takes place in. The latent kind of secret, hidden kind of space. My first collection of physicals, each with a 26 by 39 painted robot crafted by Art Matter. Auctions are now open. A thread with each piece of the story. So these, I believe, are Clown Vamp's works here. So again, kind of wisely choosing some very painterly works here, I would argue, on Clown Vamp's part. That was very smart. And Lily Illo with some more reflections here. Thoughts on the auction and the entire Reflections exhibition. Just going to take a highlight here. I can't get the little robot out of my head. Many nights as I lay in bed, I just wondered where it is on the XY axis at any given moment. Is it tracking along the brow line or indenting a hive on the chin? It's pretty cool how you can be sleeping and it's producing work. The whole exhibition has been an inquiry into mark making, collaboration, and authorship. And finally, employing processes at the intersection of old and new mediums using digital and traditional tools, AI diffusion, digital paint, oil paint, printing processes, and drawing techniques to imagine new works and to make new marks in new ways. And some thank yous over here. So just really cool. And these were physicals, this kind of hive portrait series by Lily Illo. So just super cool. And other more victories here. Strange thing, my first physical, who is also in the show, has sold for $2,689. The sale was to a Web2 trad collector from Instagram. More encroachment here. So unfortunately, I can't tag this amazing person. They're not even on X, interestingly. These are, I'd say as digital artists, we do pretty good with, like, someone, I can't remember if it was Artie Hands, was saying there's something like 200 collectors, kind of commenting, there's probably more than 200 collectors in this scene. But I took the point that there's not that many collectors and people still do all right in this scene. What happens should Web2 trad art collectors really come on board, which could happen? I mean, it seems inevitable to me. And what happens when that 200 goes to like 20,000 or 2,000 collectors? Kind of wild to think about. So this is a physical. And I'd love to see this just a little closer to see the pixelation there. Again, yeah, you see how it looks like inkjet. And 2 more sold. 2 more physical oils have sold. 2.5 ETH, $4,600 to the AB with sincere gratitude. Thank you. And here they are. So again, looking pretty spectacular here. Physicals, so just very, very cool. And so great work from Strange Thing. And this is Pale Kirill. And we're going to have a page. So this is also, let me bring this up big. This is also, I believe, Art Matter. And so this is pretty interesting too, because it's kind of a bit more, shall we say, painterly. in its approach. And so almost like we were seeing with those clown vamps, like the more painterly it is, and this is kind of like versus, say, the Strange Thing, where it's going to be slightly flatter. I think there's still going to be texture, but that's more of like like an oil painting, so it's not going to have a ton of texture. It's interesting how art matter interprets texture. So all to say, very cool from Pale Kirill, and several here in the quote-unquote not me, probably referring to the Art Matter robot series. 2 hours to go, 16 pieces, 3 sold at the pre-sale, 4 with bids, 9. And again, people love this painterly action here. 9 available with half an ETH reserve, including a physical oil painting using Art Matter's robot technology. And this is on presence.tender.art. And here's a quick scroll here. And I believe I brought this up here. Not Me by Kirill Semenovich. And here you can see the whole series. And I think Kirill was saying there's 9 of these are physical. So pretty cool. Sold for half an ETH here, that work that we're just looking at. Now also, we can't forget Helio Santos here, Primavera 1, who is doing completely different robot work here. Now in the GTOM 5551 collection, one of my greatest collectors, thank you so much, synthetic landscape generated with machine learning, painted with a drawing robot. So Helio Santos actually does, from what I could tell, from what I've discerned here, just doing this show and looking at Helio Santos's work over time, it's taking different colors and using the robot with so it's a different technique. You could argue it's much closer, this technique, to actual painting, and you get all these interesting blobs here. So even though just one person here doing some very interesting innovation, it's almost like they should talk. It's almost like they should talk. Continuing on. So fascinating discussion, as Runtune was saying early on here. Cider. And we're almost at the artwork here. It took me 5 to 6 months to sell my first NFT, and I didn't even sell it. I gave it away to Omente as a sign of gratitude. Theoretically, it wasn't a good start and not for instantly selling, but here we are. Always believe in yourself and work on improving. And it's kind of true. Look, 12,000, and those are like real followers. Like even here you see like Cider does really well, and artworks are some of the most kind of viewed, I'd argue, in this whole scene. So all to say, and Cider sells well. So Cider knows here. Haiti Rocket. High Tezos collected 3,059 artworks from 778 artists, different artists, only sold 1 edition. Currently owned 3,753 artworks and 7,314 editions. Average four artworks a day, active days 760. First and last collected April 3rd, 2021 and November 1st, 2023. So just for those that don't know Haiti Rocket's work, that was the person who really sold me. And just because I saw his work, I had no idea who he was or whatever, but that was the person it was his art that sold me on Object. And I was like, these glitch ROMs there's something here. And it was through Haiti Rocket that I discovered Sabato's work. I think it was a still life of fruit and also Kurt Hustle Collective by checking out Haiti Rocket's collection. So this doesn't surprise me, is all to say. Walk. Now this is a little long. I want to read the whole thing, but I'm not going to. But I'd suggest you do, because it almost sounds like a manifesto of sorts. And talking about being in Italy, where creative ideas are maybe sometimes overly thought over. And as he was saying here, since I was 14, I've been using the internet not only to share and commercialize my artistic product, but more importantly, as a source from which to draw valuable material for my research. It makes his work very contemporary, doesn't it? A lot of walks, whether it's Britney Spears, in a sense, there's a lot of overlap between kind of what I'm concerned about to a certain degree. And walk, like internet pop culture, I guess you might call it, or internet culture. Anyways, let's continue here. During this extended exploration of such a vast and universal world, I've encountered and overcome dynamics that have allowed me to gratify and sustain myself, unlike the conventional system for which I could have miserably perished a long time ago. And let this be a clarion call to all artists who are, basically ignored by the conventional art system, like, you might be able to find a place for yourself here. And, and probably most people who are watching this have already kind of made a little space for themselves. But it's kind of it's an open door, so I just think there's a lot to be said for this. And I'm the same way. I would have miserably perished a long time ago. I would still be making work, but I was completely ignored. And now it's like, at least you have a place where you can kind of build something. In the last 2 years, my personal production has undergone a gradual process of digitalization, physically manifested on the web with the help of eBay and digitally within Web3. eBay. Leveraging blockchain technology. In the meantime, all the physical production created previously had been cataloged and permanently archived. Art is not a pastime. So, Walk almost throwing down the gauntlet a little bit here. Art is not a pastime. It's a beautiful statement, a commitment. It is, I assume it's a way of life, is what, Walk is saying here. This isn't some hobby. I need my work to be instantly perceived, realized, exported, and made physically accessible to anyone today. On the contrary, I don't need someone to benefit from my idea without valuing it. Following this pattern, and this is what I wanted to get to here, following this pattern, from now on, anyone who wants to view, study, or purchase my works will have the opportunity to do so exclusively through the use of a device with an internet connection. Exclusively. This is not artistic nonconformity, but simply the result of the times. It sounds like a beautiful, man. I think Walk's Italian. It sounds like it reminds me of the Futurist Manifesto, which is very kind of combative. I wouldn't call this combative, but it's kind of rough. It's a little bit rough and tumble, and I love it. See on the street, and there is Walk, a beautiful kind of manifesto of sorts there from the Great Walk. And just a heads up here from One of One, which has a Substack. They're actually going to be on the Spaces in maybe 2 or 3 weeks. I'm really excited about that. They have an interview with Martin Bruce, also, which is the account that we often see as Martin Brook. So just more really cool, edgy artists on One of One. So that is super cool. Check that out. A really cool interview there. They just did Nov 1914 recently. And finally, this is like 6 days in the scene. Nick St. Pierre prompting, so huge development in AI. Prompting in a personalized AI kind of feels like interdimensional cable. The model was trained on 10 Jimmy Neutron screen captures, prompting for these images Taylor Swift drinking a soda and Kanye West snowboarding. So we saw a preview of this last time, this style prompt in Midjourney, and it looks very, very, very powerful. Lily Illo, an example of how it begins. I try to see what might be possible, and process is guided from there. So you see a little bit of editing is what it looks like here. So, because it looks like this is taken and then edited through, and so just very cool. So finally, 38 minutes in here, onto the, artwork, so to speak. Uxine, get verified by Uxine, and this was actually sent to me courtesy of Strange Thing. Thank you, Strange Thing. And just a really, I hadn't even seen it come out, and it's a PDF by Uxine. So how cool is that? And of course, Uxine, for those that don't know, is, I believe Uk is Turkish for 3, and Uxine comes out of the zine scene, and so, which is kind of like an underground, magazine, so to speak, is what a zine is. Self-made, and that's a whole scene. They have their own festivals, as many of you know. And so putting out a PDF, almost like a hat tip to the whole zine scene, but a digital one, and look at that. And they're kind of like this. They're kind of like art magazines, so as many of you know. Look at that. So just really cool. And here's Machine also in the studio. So I need to mute that for copyright reasons. So again, there's Machine here, who does a lot of kind of gradient art here, and in the studio, a lot of spray paint art is actually what I should say. So, there we go. And finally, there's actually, okay, we're going to get to the art in a second here. Demon Ego has a show, and Walk is posting it because Walk, I believe, is in the show. And Ponder Group Drop, curated by Demon Ego, November 10th, 2023. And here it is. So another physical show, more encroachment on the physical so-called real world. Mikey de la Creme, gotta love it. Santiago Manidal. So continuing on, and another super cool painting by, is it La Delmas is the name of the artist here? I think it's La Delmas, Delmas World. And here, this is a free mint, and look at how well it's doing in this beautiful actual background. You can choose your own kind of background and font here on Zora, the creation. Maybe a weird kind of reference to Adam and Eve. Once upon a time, there's an eccentric community that was tired of being ignored and unseen. Okay, so something else. Maybe referring to this scene. 451 minted, so really nice painting here. I was kind of slow to pick up on Delma's work, but just a really cool artist. Really nice piece. I feel like we looked at a similar one last time. I don't think it was the same one. It's possible it's the same work, but I don't think so. This one feels different. So just another cool work from La Delmas, if I'm pronouncing that right. Myth with a work here. And let me just quickly bring it up larger so we can maximize it here. So just a really cool work here by the Myth. And I'm not sure, I don't think we've seen this one either. Here's the Myth with a knife, woman on a horse, and some homunculi, and almost little myth guys that look like candles. Looks like it's made on Procreate as well. And kind of a dapper looking myth on kind of wearing the Sunday best here, going for a stroll here with a edgy knife accompanying him. And here also the underworld, and here this is 100 Tezos. This is an edition of 12, and they're 100 Tezos each. Wow. I think we saw a preview of this work on Twitter, and here it has finally been minted here. So super edgy work. It has. We've seen this one before, because I remember I didn't want to make it big, because it's a bit of a family show that we run here, but it's a pretty rad work here by the Myth. Also out of Argentina, Rustic Digital Art, She Loves You. And here's the Beatles, and I don't know if anybody actually liked that Beatles song. I heard it once. I wasn't very impressed with the new Beatles song that they released. But maybe other people, so maybe referring to this in the zeitgeist here, the spirit of the times, by Rustic Digital Art, and just some really cool kind of fuzzed out people here in a kind of concert of sorts, but it almost looks like a stadium of sports stadium, and maybe they are in a stadium of sorts. So just interesting kind of irrational impressions from Rustic Digital Art. This is one left at 10 Tezos, edition of 10. Another super interesting, nice painting, super original. Great color. Corn on the Cob, digital drawing by Board Me Social Club, now BMSC, edition of 17. And there is what looks like a boomerang made of corn and some kind of vampire fangs and dripping out blood and coming off, just finishing. Remember that really cool collaboration with Tornado Rodriguez, and cool. This is quite surreal, this kind of nice brick structure in the background, and even the floor there, just really nice piece. And of course, this is Gabby Walter. New drop on ETH, Underworld Impressions, is a new collection, and How I Imagine Hell, if it is to exist. And of course, Gabby Walter, we know from the broken Mickey Mouse kind of ear character. And interesting, it looks like it's a pastiche, perhaps. I'm not sure what the original might be. So interesting, cool digital painting as usual, in the crash test dummies, almost reaching up here from the Inferno. And this guy looks like is being maybe dragged up to Purgatorio here. Very interesting. And I missed this. Actually, it was just October 26th. Levon minted a new painting, a Genesis work on Super Rare. So thrilled to see Levon on Super Rare. And does a lot of what I'd call crypto art, kind of referencing, you see the little Ethereum sign down here. There it is, the Ethereum flag, and then a big ship. And not sure, is that Gary Gensler, right? The Triumph of the Inevitable, a digital painting, and this has one auction with a bid of 1.5 ETH. OSF has picked it up for 1.5 ETH, so great start for Levon on Super Rare. And look at this. Rare is changing it up The Boston Dynamics dog has been changed with a new robot. Atlas, my latest painting, is based off this one by Giovanni Francesco Barbieri. Atlas holding up the celestial globe of 1646, which was literally commissioned by Lorenzo de' Medici. So de' Medici commissioned the original Giovanni Francesco Barbieri work. So just another cool pastiche here. And one quick thing on the constellations, a weird observation being here, especially when I was in Taormina, so being in Sicily, when you look at the constellations, because I'd wake up at like 6 in the morning before the sun rose, before the time change. And when you look at the constellations from Greece or Sicily here, they start to make a lot more sense because all of a sudden they feel like perfectly placed in the sky. And that is just kind of interesting because when I was in North America or even in the north of Europe, you don't get the same kind of perfect placement. And that's kind of one of those things that you have to go to see, to observe something like that. So I just thought that was interesting. Cool work from Rare. And Dan Control with another beautiful kind of medieval style painting here. Gradient painting and these, it just works beautifully with this kind of medieval style and this beautiful flora over here on the ground here, the plant life, and kind of has a real kind of medieval, even early Renaissance feeling, and beautiful kind of gestures here in this kind of grand, beautiful narrative painting, and almost making fun here. As you can see, the medieval angel here coming from the top right upside down. I love it. Great humor here. I mean, it's a bold move. Great humor here. So this is by Dan Control, edition of 20 for 20 Tezos each. Half are gone. So, I mean, Dan Control is selling these works for pretty good for an edition. So really nice work there. Wasteman Goldminovich, edition of 11, Paul Who Smoked, Smokin' Paul. Just a nice kind of simple painting here by Wasteman Goldminovich of someone smoking at a table. Kind of has like a 1950s kind of feel to it, doesn't it? Interesting contrast between the texture here on the left and on the right. Again, this makes me think of Art Matter. Actually, what would Art Matter do? It'd probably work really well with this painting here. Cool work, PP Universal. Mark's watching how you criticize capitalism from social media. So a bit of a social commentary there. And maybe a young Karl Marx with almost a medieval kind of haircut here. And looking over this ledge, interesting piece, isn't it? A pretty nice piece from PP Universal. And, something to just comment on. I think PP is changing it up because we were discussing how oftentimes, you take the hair and then you fill it with patterning. I mentioned it many, many times. Well, you're starting to see more than one pattern here in this kind of outline. Same with the face. Like it is getting more complex, interestingly. Interesting background, that pitch black background as well. Rinny Fish with more of this interesting kind of light, semi-opaque, gradiented pixelation here on top of, I thought, a really sweet, what looks like one bug, but two bugs. It's hard to tell if it's two or one. Sometimes nobody. Really nice piece here. Grimm's Cipher. So this is Grimm's. I think it's Grimm's is how you... Grimoire. And so this is on Foundation at 0.11 ETH. Already one sold. And so this is a new mint here. November 3rd. And let's see if we can get this showing up big. Again, nice color. I'm really digging what Grimoire is up to there and that awesome collaboration that they did. I think it was A00043, if I'm not mistaken. And here's another one from Grimoire. This was done on October 27th. Glitches, they come, they go. I thought just kind of nice and simple here. Someone in a subway, but then you got the surveillance camera. I'd argue probably a nod to crypto art in its own way. It's kind of more crypto artish, crypto art-esque. We could say a lot of Grimoire's work with the surveillance camera, as we saw in Rip Cache there. Kind of a classic crypto art trope. Heathens, cool title. And the flashing as well. Here it is. AC0042 was the collaborator. And Between You and Me, so this is collaborating with Glumox here. And again, you can start to see AC0042's kind of, maybe it's AI artwork. because it almost looks like 19th century painting, but it's got a bit of a Japanese feeling. AI art. So cool collabs here by AC0042, this time with Glumox. And here you probably recognize this artist, Ugo42, or Ugo is the name of the artist here. And so I thought I brought up, things might be slightly, I think things are in order here, but this is Ugo42 on Zora. I thought I brought up the other page here. We may come across it here on our travels. Really nice original flowers, aren't they? So Ugo42 continuing to actually just push things forward, which is super cool. This is Santiago with, again, kind of incorporating AI and other, maybe P5JS. The new music album is out now. And so this is November 1st. So continuing this super interesting original style here. I love the negative space around the side here. We're going to see another Santiago work. This is on Object. Build the internet again by speaking to each parent. And so really love the blue in there. Another just super interesting. I love the composition. You know, an interesting treatment of the negative space. You see how, you know, kind of busting up the margin here on the bottom left, kind of rebalance, gives the whole piece a whole different kind of compositional balance here. I guess from a formal abstract, you know, interpretation. So interesting move, and I like the blue there. Just that crisp, cool, clear, refreshing blue there. Contrasts beautifully with all these kind of warmer and darker colors. Excuse me. We're never going to be able to re-record this show, so we're just going to go with it, everybody. And here, just a cool, another work that kind of looked like our first work there. Super original work coming out from Santiago here. Just it's rich and interesting, and again, that prolificness, as I call it here, it builds credibility. Don't forget that tweet that was put out with 100 tweets of Santiago's work. Like, Santiago's releasing several works a day, I think. I mean, that's what it looks like to me. And super interesting works at that. And they're selling 20 editions at 10 Tezos each. I mean, Santiago must be making a fortune here. I hope so. It's earned. I mean, so just beautiful work. And Boo Boy going abstract. Today I feel stressed and want to express something. We're already at 52 minutes. I'm going to speed up a bit here. My first abstract expression is live now. And so this is on Foundation. So that's cool to see Boo Boy experiment here, and maybe could hang in the same room there with Santiago. And so cool experimentation from Boo Boy. Sells for 0.3 ETH. Well done. That's like $800 these days. Maybe $650. Nice sale, Boo Boy. And here we have Flora Marquez, my definition of Web 3, and brilliantly put together. I'm pretty sure Flora did zines too. A lot of people are out of zine culture here. So this is part of the Neutro drop on Zora, my definition of Web 3. And you see it's a GIF, and it's kind of like, you know, it's a different take on comics here. Because there is, like, for lack of a better term, the narrative processes, like it proceeds. There is a kind of a movie quality to this, as we see the word, let's go, I'm ready, you know. So there is a interesting take on comics, isn't it? Very interesting. And actually, let's zoom in a little bit where you can see, actually, Flora Marquez's brilliant work here. You know, that series that Flora did, those one-of-ones at the start of the year, I feel like a real, like, I think they really helped. And I loved Flora's work before, those beautiful stamps, but I just feel like you can see all that work when I look at these works now. Like, it's the payoff in the brilliant color here. We see it a lot in the stamp series, which I highly recommend if you don't have any. They're just great works. They're some of my favorite works. On Object, Trippy Places by Tornado Rodriguez here. My Home Away from Home. So another work here on Zora, and 4 minted so far. And probably just minted here, and hilarious here. So just a cool work with the sun, kind of out of control sun here. I've never seen a sun like that. And the house kind of anthropomorphized, and old pink computer here. And all sorts of mayhem. as usual here by Tornado Rodriguez out of Argentina. Interesting little gradient over there too. Very cool work. And look at this, Louis Osborne, after a little hiatus, back on the scene here. We'll see what the title is in a second here. But kind of a more, working with gradients a little bit more here. And you see someone looking at a screen, contemporary illustration, nice kind of design, like, look at that. Just doing it night and day, almost like a commentary. We're always on our screens. Quite brilliant. Louis Osborne's kind of cycling, a productive day. The irony. I love it. There were other works. All Eyes Off Me, Louis Osborne's. This is an edition of 30. And there were so many works. So this is almost like an eye, but then these open up as eyes. You know what this reminds me of is like Argus. I think the thousand-eyed, mythological creature. It's almost like an Argus of sorts here, but done Louis Osborne style with the person in the middle and all of these eyes. And the person is happy when the eyes are open, and when the eyes close, they're sad. So just more All Eyes Off Me. Louis Osborne, edition of 30. And then this was super interesting too, again, referring to our Tension of Digital Copies theme. So we have different colors on these, and you see the value. I mean, it's just a simple color change here. And then you see there's 4 others here, but the red, it's like Warhol. The blue is a completely different work here. So isn't this interesting? The red, they're completely different works in terms of just the feelings that they give. So just super duper interesting work here from Louis Osborne, edition of 25, and one at 30, one selling for 30 Tezos on secondary of the purple. So just super interesting here from Louis Osborne, and selling out. Isn't that great? And one was an edition of 50. And all eyes, and so just really, really cool art here from Louis Osborne. Here's the blue one. And here's another work. So a lot coming out in the last week from Louis Osborne. Well-deserved nap. Kind of complements our other one, A Productive Day, quite nicely. And this family or everybody just sleeping on top of each other, exhausted. And then the dogs as well. So just really cool. Well-deserved nap. Smonter. A really cool kind of what I consider like sci-fi, but it's almost got a medieval feel too to the illustration. Just a super interesting illustrator. Villagers love to gather around the well to gossip. However, it is not from this practice that the expression, the whisper of the well, was born. We can now only imagine its true origins. So here it is. So a bit of a medieval feel to it. And in these kind of cobblestone, I guess it's not cobblestone, just in this rock like chimney and this just beautifully illustrated kind of stone sidewalk here and kind of a medieval figure here. Almost like contemporary teenagers, but in a medieval context. Always with a super interesting view in terms of the perspective that the composition takes. Really dynamic compositions here from Smonter. 9 available for 5 Tezos. And Seba Sestaro, memory number 7. So playing again with this memory idea, the back of the head here as a kind of a canvas of sorts for memory. Different memories here. So just very cool work here from Seba Sestaro. Looks like sold out, 1 of 1 for 70. Nice one to capstone. And Olin, Drowning in My Thoughts. This was on on X, I should say. I'm not sure if it's minted on the blockchain anywhere, but I thought it was a pretty cool work. And written in Japanese here. Olin TV. Let's just see. On Super Rare, so maybe this is on Super Rare, just a cool piece. Maybe it's an older piece, not sure. And Turkarak, Gloomy Years, and so kind of a rough title, interestingly, and brings us back maybe to playing with the rabbit ears, as we used to call them on the TV, to try and get a good signal. Pretty hilarious. Portrait of like the 80s, Gloomy Years. Edition of 10 for 3 Tezos each from Turkarak. And Nuv 1914, I picked up this one, a couple of one of ones. Nuv 1914 has been releasing some one of ones. Very edgy gradient artist. I picked this one up. A rare opportunity to pick up a one of one from Nuv 1914. It was only 10 Tezos. Here's another great, and there are others too. Here's another work by Zwokso, as I pronounce. And this is on Zora. very experimental, but super cool. So I think, is this a free mint? It's a free mint on Zora. So how cool is that? Huge fan of this artist. I need to buy more. Still regretting missing a one of one from Zwoxo way back about a month ago. Sean Luke with a cool work here. This is on Object, November 6th. So a new mint. I thought this was a really nice piece by Sean Luke here. Kind of analog video, kind of glitchy, just really original, or very Sean Luke, shall we say. And almost like these figures here. They look like figures, almost like one of those, I don't remember the word for it, but where it's like a ballerina that just kind of twists around mechanically. Cosmic dancers, spinning chaos into beauty. And this is the second half that I was looking for Ugo's work here of the roses. This is on mint.fun, if you're looking to pick one up. And continuing on, Nicholas Sassoon pattern, a couple of more patterns here. And so these are beautiful on X. And just here is another beautiful work here. Just the neighbors. I'm trying not to be too loud here, but let's keep running through this show. We're already at the hour mark, and I think we're like halfway through. So I'm going to keep running. Beautiful work from Nicholas Sassoon here. Cap'n on Zora. Natura Flux. So super cool work from Cap'n. 132 minted. I have a feeling Cap'n's going to do very well on Zora. And here, I think it's the third of this exoplanet series, X42, log entry number 3. Very cool text and just more cool work from Cap'n. This was gorgeous. This was also released by Cap'n. The border is no longer a rigid boundary, but a fluid spectrum where our lives seamlessly merge. Again, I'm kind of back to these naturals here. Again, coming out of the music scene in 2019, had been making gifts, I think, though, from 2012. Again, we have a brilliant space with Cap'n, if you want to learn more, out of Costa Rica. I love how international the scene is. Out of Turkey, Haiti Rocket here. Look at this, kind of an experimental piece by Haiti Rocket. Almost playing with line drawing and moving. I thought this was quite interesting and just kind of exciting. Because Haiti Rocket, I relate a lot to Haiti Rocket's work because it uses a lot of sampling, glitch ROMs, takes a thing, manipulates, takes a, Pepe, manipulates it. It's really interesting to see Haiti draw, so just kind of exciting there. That is an edition of 3 on Object, and I'm going to keep running through here. So just some more what look like drawings here. Not sure on this one. This is called Spare Page by Haiti Rocket, and let me just make that a regular size here. So edition of 4, interesting copying here, and then just like they're turning more into digital paintings here from Haiti Rocket. One is moving. I mean, this is exciting. I mean, they're feeling like digital paintings of a different kind, shall we say, like real kind of painterly, I'm tempted to say. And Haiti Rocket had a great weekend, or a great week, however long it's been, putting out all sorts of super interesting work. Here at GM as the Pepe, feels good. Really nice piece here. This is a 101. Did it sell? Went to Sunday Fun Day for only 100 Tezos for a 1 of 1. That is a wonderful, wonderful purchase there. Haiti Rocket edition of 3. Again, so this is more like the sampling that I'm talking about, where you take something, you manipulate it, you copy it. So this is more traditional Haiti Rocket, but more just brilliant works in the 3D glasses. Totally cool edition. GMS good, totally cool edition. Here's another one. Just kind of messing around here with a bit of what looks like a Deluxe 4 background here. Just literally hitting screen record and making some stuff. Just 1 of 1. Why not? Right? Here's another one. GM. So really just, I love the... let's do this, let's mint this, let's mint this, let's mint this. I love that mentality. Because everyone is, like in the digital world, we're so kind of overwhelmed with how many possibilities we have. We kind of decide, okay, I'll just mint this. But really, as we're working, a lot of us digital artists, we see like 1,000 different works over the course of making an artwork. So I love this, this way of being an artist that Haiti Rocket's taken is like, no, let's do that. Everything that looks like art, let's call it art and mint it. I think it's brilliant. And so just super cool work here from Haiti Rocket. You don't need to make a big edition if you're doing that, right? This was a special bidders edition for Sabato's work. Looks like an outtake, or maybe the first version that Sabato was working on, perhaps, with I always forget what these are called, charapabas or something, with the animals here that Sabato loves to portray. So kind of like just one of these, with the different time zones, one of the art fair. It looks like just like one booth, so to speak, of the art fair. Again, maybe like a practice work or the first work, and then you even see like the person here, Felix and Anna. So this was given to the bidders of the last work. So really nice gift there. And here's Ed Marola, Machine Dream for piano in F minor. So beautiful record cover here. And cool music. I mean, you see why this show had to be so long. I mean, am I not going to put this one in? So, beautiful work from Ed Marola. Machine Dream, and what a title. What a title. So something is happening over here, and a beautiful piece here, as you can see. Probably put it together pretty quickly. Who knows? It's beautiful, though. A beautiful landscape and like very Ed Marola, isn't it? Manadal, King of Cups, as the Cat Tarot continues. So another beautiful piece here, the King of Cups by Manadal. Tarot card of the Minor Arcana. 14th card of 14 cards. So we'll see where it goes next. Probably another suit, so to speak. Look at this. This is Nami Packynet. And so another piece here, kind of combining different cultures. Looks like, what we used to call East Indian, like Indian art. Just beautiful pixel art here. Kind of almost looks like, I'm not sure, would you call it Arab art? Exactly, 1001 Nights, right? Moonlight Enchanter. I really enjoyed the last week getting in touch with Gulati and hearing his point of view of my art and finally working on his ideas as an artwork. This piece has just opened up a new phase of work in my mind. We'll be making more of the 1001 Nights. Maybe this is just a scene from 1001 Nights. Like, how cool would that be? Sold. I'm not sure what it went for, but pretty interested to find out. Gogolitis actually posted this artist, never seen before. Timpix, Timpx, and this is on Solana. And all those artists that have been minting on Solana, collecting their Sol, have done really well with that massive move in the token in the last couple of weeks here. So a couple of interesting pieces here. Interesting original works here. Again, you could totally screen print these. Ghost Town by Timpix, new artist. And of course, this is mech.txt with these beautiful, beautiful landscapes here. Very reminiscent, actually, of what we're seeing. What I see here, and I follow mech.txt. That is a glitch in Twitter. Quiet Agrarian Life, and here is another one. How I Wish You Were Here. So, and a little love story here. In the, again, what feel like Ultima 4 works. Into the Belly of the Dragon for you, my love. So just beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. And a work minted here. I mean, this is all, again, in the last 6 days here. Consciousness Arose. Star Stuffs. Contemplating Stars, edition of 25. Again, look at how much money is being spent here. Just all over the place. Like, this stuff's all selling out, a lot of it. A lot of it's being minted. Like, it's a very healthy market here, isn't it? Which makes you wonder, the next bull run, whether it's 6 months, 6 years from now, it could be wild if it's healthy as it is. And look at this. This is also a PDF. I don't know if there's something going on. Remember, Uxine did the PDF. Now, Mac has created a font called Monomech, and here it is. So, of course, mech.txt, his background in graphic design is making fonts is one of the specialties, as far as I understand. So, making a new font. I mean, the dexterity of all these artists is, just constant creation here. Type Specimen Monomech v1.0. So some examples here, very professional, right? From mech.txt. This is awesome. So here you see Cosmic Speed, And if I'm not mistaken, that's Diego Maradona with the number 10 there and the goal of the century. And I brought it up big here. This is on Zora free mint. And I brought it up big here so that we could see this glorious. I watched this on TV, like live, when it was happening. Was it England that Argentina was playing? If I have this right, I mean, this is after Diego Maradona's, as far as I understand, I'm pretty sure I have this right because I remember, who hasn't watched this, who knows soccer, the goal of the century. This is after Diego Maradona faked, basically punched in the ball, faked heading it in, and then the refs didn't see it, and then it was seen as like, is this legitimate? And then proceeded in the next 5 minutes, if I'm not mistaken, to deke out the entire English team and then score. And then it's like, well, even if it was a scam, the first goal, look at what he just did. Okay, deserved to win. The goal of the century. Brilliant subject matter. I wish I knew the artist there. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to bring up. I think it was just an anonymous account, but if you give me a tweet, if you see this, whoever made that, because I think this happened last time, send me a tweet. I'll retweet it to make sure at least just help spread the word on that brilliant work. Look for the goal of the century on Zora, okay, to find that artist. François Gamma. New, cool, actually, I'm not sure if it's new work, but newly minted. It's from the 2009 series, so just a cool piece here from François Gamma, and another cool piece here posted on Instagram. This is going to be the longest show probably ever that I've ever done, and I'm trying to make them shorter, but there's just too much going on here. Guandanarian with another piece. Remember the last one got 500,000 views? Well, this one did too. So why not? Let's make a red one. Brilliant. So simple. Of course, I made another one. Gotta love the humor too. And then look at this. Someone put it on some kind of device. I'm not even sure what this is. I screamed. I had to. So just super cool here. And also another one. Let's do the rainbow version. 152,000 and I think posted yesterday, so still, I mean, it's insane. 1,000, retweets here. You just gotta love it. 6.7 thousand likes. So there's something to be said here about kind of tapping into what works on a crowd level. You know how we were talking about working within the limits or the confines of a certain medium? Ripcash was mentioning it with on-chain. You could argue, trying to get as many views as possible, but make an interesting, nice work is another kind of confine. It's okay, Sabato has kind of made light of this. It's flashing, right? And even Guandanarian was mentioning this. I brought out the tweet last week. It's I don't know how I feel, Guandanarian was saying about this work that I spent 2 seconds on doing way better than this work I spent a month on. Maybe not 2 seconds, but, not as much time on. So there's something to be said for that, right? And just see how far you can go in terms of views. It's just kind of interesting. It's kind of a different limit, one could argue. Muji, with another interesting, kind of different flavored work here. Similar colors to what we've been seeing from Muji and similar kind of cool glitchiness, but kind of almost like a medieval, almost like a darker, it feels like blood or, kind of a goblet here, but with ribs on it, kind of a darker feel to this one. Maybe a bit of a Halloween work. Enigmatic Heaven Offering, minted November 4th, an edition of 20. There are 7 left at 13 Tezos. And here, Green Ginger, this very poetic escalator, Last Upward Path. When was this minted? November 5th. So it's almost like an extension of Halloween a little bit here. And you see some blood here, very kind of poetic work. I find escalators very poetic. Broken escalators. When I was 20, I was kind of big on broken escalators. Yes. Star OS Demo. So this is by Zoxo. So more kind of using what looks like Mario Brothers iconography, but then making new works out of it. Here's a bit of a loading screen. Maybe combining different kind of video games here. Not sure. Demo. Star OS Demo. This is an open mint. And you got to be careful with the open mints because sometimes they're very low editions. So 3 Tezos. Pamelo Cerrone. Pamlock. And Pamelo Cerrone is going to be on Twitter Spaces, excitingly, in the next 2 or 3 weeks as well. So another super cool, very prolific artist. This is a one of one for 100 Tezos. Check out the object page, has other one of ones available. So prolific. Vuela Vuela times Pamelo. And I was going to show Pamelo visiting Bosque, but this show is just too long. Maybe next episode. But all to say, just really awesome artist. Kind of reminds me of the Futurists in its just kind of funness in the posters. Reminds me of those Futurist posters. Encuentro Artístico. And this is like, to me, a portrait. This is a collaboration with Velepa Lucas 3000. But to me, this just is almost a portrait of what Pamelo is up to a certain degree. Just this dancing around and having fun. But of course, this is a collaboration here. Edition of 10 for 420. Another collaboration here, Velepa Lucas and Pamelo Cerrone. So here is another one. This one's static, I believe. Mika Oladev, as we start to wrap up here, going into a little bit of glitch here, just a nice, very nice glitch piece by Mika Oladev, doing just a classic, almost taking stock photography and just kind of reshaping it. And here is Salawaki, and here this is on Zora. The world never stops spinning, but what's important is that you're still here. So a poetic work here from Salawaki, and this is on secondary now, 164 minted, beautiful message here, and of course the humor that we associate with Salawaki's work. Very cool. DJ Kuro. Momentary Lapse, this is a collaboration with Ranexteer, so they're still releasing more collaborations here. A nice kind of minimal one. Minimal, interesting collaboration here using Ranexteer's kind of abstracts and Kuro's video analog glitch kind of styling here. Here's Lepro Chant, and this is 33 seconds. Not sure we can show it all, but we can try. See if there's volume. There's no volume. So this is also just kind of an interesting piece put out by Lepro Chant here. Some programming on top. Kind of edgy video. So interesting work here. This, I'm not sure where it was minted. It's on Object. Bernard's Journey is the name of the piece here, and that is the piece. Very cool. Continuing on, Bosque Gracias. And I thought this was interesting. Migration, Energy Wheels 007. And you see here, it looks like there's some weaving on top or something. Photo paper and embroidery with energy and liquid and pearl thread. 1963 and 1923. So interesting embroidery work here from Bosque Gracias. The physical on this is probably pretty cool. This was just kind of worked into the show here, sort of sneaking this in. Richard Prince, if you're in Berlin, when I go back, I'm going to go check out this show. I love Richard Prince's, especially the last 10 years of Richard Prince's work is just, for me, the late work of artists is often some of their best, and it doesn't always get the attention. So this is an upcoming solo exhibition by Richard Prince at Max Hetzler in Berlin. Body opens on Friday. So it just opened last Friday. So repurposing images while placing a renewed emphasis on the importance of the corporeal in his oeuvre. In these compositions, splinters and reassembles photographic fragments of the female figure with varying degrees of legibility. So just interesting. Can't wait to see those in person. Interesting experimentation from Louis here. A M3 chip on the left and a house in which I grew up in Tokyo in the I thought this was just kind of edgy experimentation from Louis and then minting it. You know, interestingly, edition of 6, 5 left, 3 Tezos. And as we go into AI here, here's Strange Thing, made in AI, so some cool masks here. Cool black and gold palette here as well. This is on Instagram. Classicism armor-inspired headwear. And here's another one by Strange Thing, AI with EYE collection, contact lenses inspired by the Renaissance period. So the creativity continues here with Strange Thing, as you can see. And look at this. This is by Danielle King. When an unexpected output takes your breath away. I agree. I was tempted to start with this, working on abstract AI collages, but got this beautiful still life, and I am here for it. This is a stunner. It's beautiful. And again, you'd like to see the Art Matter robots go to work on this one. Brought it up big here. So, you know, the promise of AI Continuing on, Scamra with a couple of AI, continuing the women at the computer sort of series here with some of these kind of screenshots of what look like the desktop or something, or Photoshop, and beautiful colors here by Scamra. So big shout out to Scamra. And another one here, kind of turn AI illustration with these AI keyboards. Again, that last transformation layer is a nice touch, and also keeping all these other kind of desktop elements is a really nice touch. This is by Pixel Lord, I think. I thought this was a pretty nice, what looks like an AI artwork here. I thought just kind of interesting and nice and kind of fresh. And here, of course, Lily Illo, GM. So, I mean, just a stunning amount of work is coming out that's provocative, that makes you want to think, and that's just kind of beautiful and interesting. You see it in the sleeve here. We're drowning in good art over here, I would argue. We're very lucky. Tukes, Memories and Moments Yet to Be. Like, all this stuff isn't even being minted. I mean, this is why, again, it's like this Niagara, of imagination. Maybe that's where I'm broadcasting from, the Niagara of the imagination. Memories and moments yet to be. This is what happens when you go into the hour and 20-minute mark. This is a different kind of format here. Sweet dreams. So more beautiful work by Tukes here. Stunning. And here, Soom, Music Storm. If you've made it this far, I mean, good for you. And look at how, I mean, the works, again, we're drowning in like really amazing art here. Beautiful kind of modern feeling with a capital M, White Solitude, with another painterly AI artwork. Just provocatively beautiful. Feeling Blue in Yellow Room, art by White Solitude in collaboration with AI. And this is a massive edition of 665 at 2 Tezos each. Into the physical world we go, and there's a lot of fantastic physical artwork. If I can just kill that. There we go. Look at The Negative Space by Bobiki Mattia, if I'm pronouncing that right. Acrylic and charcoal on unprimed canvas. I mean, I love the negative space on these works here. We have some other ones. Same artist, The Revenge of the Floating Head. And there's like He-Man and then Castle. Like, just very interesting. Beautiful painting here. Here's another one, Cyber Turtle. Acrylic and marker on canvas. And marker and acrylic, like, just a really interesting work here. And another by the same artist, Whippets. So just a great discovery here. Seems super prolific. One to watch. Wooden Cyclops. Dog Stab equal Bear Hug. Another just super interesting artist. I mean, something's happening out there. Katie Kinsman artist. Look at this piece. So just like, here are some of the others. Just discovering artists left and right here. Michael Pybus, we've been looking at, and here's just another cool work, acrylic and gesso on canvas. This is from Jack 2016. Maybe that was made in 2016, not sure. Michael Pybus, 2023 Halloween mask paintings. Just simple and easy and beautiful. I mean, look at that. Look at that. I could have started with that. Like, that was just awesome. It's just like, and they're probably big, 60 by 60 centimeters. I'd love to see these like 1.5 meters by 1 meter, or like 1 meter by 1 meter is what I'd love to see here. Just really cool work. Again, Nugget Brain, some more just contemporary works here. Look at the space shuttle. Like, who wouldn't want to own that? Escalators, back to that. It's so exciting. And of course, this is by Gloomtube. We all recognize who this is. You could have started with this too. A Gloomtube physical work here. Guys, if you ever feel bad about how you're able or unable to render people's faces in your artwork, just look at what I have done. Every time I look at it, I laugh, and that's pretty cool. I actually think it did a pretty good job. Because put it this way, Gloom, I recognized it instantly. I was like, maybe it's the posture. Beautifully painted in here as well, I might add. And The Isolationist, I think this is a physical too. So interesting kind of dark work here by Isolationist, black and white and red. A Violent Silence, like the perfect title there. Edition of 15, and there's one on secondary at 300 Tezos. And finally, Bemiso, only two days left to see my show at NBB Gallery, connecting people. So another interesting artwork here. Looks like spray paint again and outlines. Bit of a trend there. Nick Dalen. My piece is in Consensual Ennui exhibit at the Landing Gallery, curated by Private Figure. So just more interesting works. Here's another one. Just an interesting artist here. Look at that. So it's like we're drowning in art here. And Schwarzer.Stefan, I brought this up for Evelyn, who was saying they couldn't find Stefan Schwarzer online. This is how you find it. If you made it this far, Evelyn, here you go. Schwarzer.Stefan. So just a really great, another kind of almost Rauschenbergian piece here. We're drowning in great art here. And that, my friends, is your episode. Thank you for joining me. Until next time, take care.